Hello everyone, my name is Rishab. Welcome to day 193 of our book Learning Journey. Today's book, The Emperor of All Maladies, Bimaria, a biography of cancer by Siddhartha Mukherjee. Topic, The Extraordinary History of Cancer. How humanity learned to understand, fight and live with a disease. Today, we are going into a completely different world. Not business, not leadership, not productivity, not economics. Today, we are going to explore medicine, biology, scientific discovery, and the history of human understanding. The book is The Emperor of All Maladies, Bimaria, a biography of cancer, written by physician and oncologist Siddhartha Mukherjee. At first, the title may sound strange. How can a disease have a biography? But that is exactly what makes this book so fascinating. Mukherjee doesn't simply explain cancer as a medical condition. He tells the story of humanity's relationship with cancer. He takes us from some of the earliest description of cancer in ancient history to modern laboratories, chemotherapy, surgery, radiation, genetics, and targeted treatments. And along the way, he tells us something much bigger. The story of cancer is also the story of how science works. Scientists don't discover everything at once. They make observations. They create theories. They test them. Sometimes they fail. Sometimes they are completely wrong. Sometimes one small discovery changes an entire field. And sometimes progress takes decades. That makes this book incredibly valuable even for someone who has no background in medicine because it teaches us how human knowledge grows. The central lesson of today's book is scientific progress rarely happens through one dramatic discovery. It is built through thousands of observations, experiments, failure, questions, and discoveries accumulated over generations. Let's explore this extraordinary story. Lesson 1. Cancer is not one disease. One of the first ideas of this book helps us understand is that the word cancer describes a huge family of disease rather than one single disease. Cancer can develop in different organs. It can behave differently. It can grow at different speed. It can respond differently to treatment. This is important because humans naturally like simple explanation. We want one cause, one solution, one medicine. But biology is rarely that simple. The human body is an incredibly complex system containing trillions of cells. Those cells constantly divide, communicate, repair themselves, and eventually die. Cancer can emerge when some of these normal processes become disrupted. Understanding that complexity is one reason cancer research has been such a difficult scientific challenge. Lesson 2. The history of cancer is very old. Cancer is not a modern disease. Ancient medical records contain descriptions of tumors and diseases that appear consistent when some forms of cancer, consistent with some forms of cancer. This tells us something important. Humanity didn't suddenly create cancer through modern technology. Cancer has existed for a long time. What has changed dramatically is our ability to detect, understand, classify, and treat it. For centuries, physicians could observe tumors but had very limited tools to understand what was happening inside the body. Imagine seeing a serious disease without knowing about cells, DNA, genetics, or microphobic biology. That was a challenge early physicians faced. Lesson 3. The microscope changed medicine. One of the greatest turning points in medical history was the development and improvement of microscopy. Suddenly, scientists could examine structures that were invisible to the human eye. They could see cells. They could compare healthy tissues with abnormal tissues. They could begin asking, what makes a cancer cell different from a normal cell? That question opened an entirely new field of investigation. This teaches us a broader lesson. Sometimes progress doesn't come from immediate finding the answer. It comes from developing a different tool for asking questions. A new instrument can completely transform what humans are capable of knowing. Lesson 4. Scientific ideas change over time. At different points in history, scientists developed different theories about what caused cancer. Some theories were incomplete, some were wrong, others contained part of the truth. As new evidence appeared, scientific understanding changed. This is one of the most important lessons from the book. Science isn't a collection of permanent answers. Science is a process of continuous improving our understanding. A scientist who changed a theory after discovering stronger evidence isn't weak. That is exactly how science is supposed to work. Lesson 5. Sometimes a treatment comes from an unexpected place. One of the fascinating stories in cancer research involves the department of chemotherapy. Researchers discovered that certain chemicals agents could interfere with the rapidly dividing cells. This opened the possibility that chemicals could be used to attack cancer. But there was a major problem. Cancer cells divide rapidly, but some healthy cells also divide rapidly. So treatment could cause serious side effects. Scientists were essentially trying to destroy dangerous cells while protecting healthy ones. This became one of the central challenges of cancer treatment, and it demonstrates something important about medicine. A treatment is not simply about killing the disease, it is about doing so while preventing the patient. A treatment is not simply about killing the disease, it is about doing so while preventing the patient. Lesson 6. Every breakthrough creates new problems. Imagine scientists discover a treatment that works for some patient. You might think the problem is solved, but then another question appears. Why does it work for one patient but not another? Why does the cancer return? Why does resistance develop? Why do some cancer cells survive? Each answer creates new questions. This is how science progresses. One breakthrough doesn't end the investigation. It opened the next chapter. The more scientists discover, the more sophisticated their questions become. Lesson 7. Clinical trials change medical decision making. Modern medicine increasingly relies on controlled clinical research. Instead of saying this treatment seems to work, researchers ask much harder questions. Does it work better than the existing treatment? How many patients benefit? What are the risks? What are the side effects? Is the benefit large enough to justify the treatment? This approach transformed medicine. It replaced many forms of anecdotal reasoning with systematic evidence. And this principle extends beyond medicine. Whenever an important decision affects people's life, evidence matters. Lesson 8. The discovery of cancer genetics changed the story. One of the biggest developments in modern cancer research has been understanding the genetic basis of cancer. Our cell contains DNA. DNA contains instruction that helps regulate how cells function. When certain genetic changes accumulate, the system controlled cell growth and decision can become disrupted. This helped scientists understand cancer at a much deeper level. Instead of simply asking, where is the tumor, researchers could increasingly ask, what is happening inside these cells at the molecular level? Molecular level. What is happening inside these cells at the molecular level? That change in perspective opened the door to increasingly precise approaches to treatment. Lesson 9. Knowledge is built one generation at a time. Perhaps the most inspiring lesson from this book is that no scientist starts from zero. Every generation inherits knowledge from the previous generation. One researcher discovers something, another researcher challenges it, another improves it, another applies it. Eventually, a completely new understanding emerges. This is how human knowledge grows. You don't need to solve the entire problem. You need to contribute one useful piece. That is enough. What we learn from the Emperor of All Maladies, Bimaria. This book teaches us cancer is a complex family of diseases. Medical knowledge has developed over thousands of years. Better tools create better scientific questions. Scientist theories, Scientific theories must change when evidence changes. Breakthroughs often create new questions. Clinical evidence is essential for medical progress. Genetics transformed our understanding of cancer. Precision medicine is making treatment increasingly individualized. Scientific progress is rarely linear. Complex problems require interdisciplinary teams. AI and data are becoming increasingly important in medicine. Major theories require patience. Human knowledge grows across generations. Core closing message. If there is one lesson we should remember from the Emperor of All Maladies, Bimaria, it is this. The greatest achievements of science are not created by one brilliant moment. They are built by generations of people asking better questions. Think about how, think about how far humanity has traveled. There was a time when doctors could see a tumor but couldn't understand what was happening inside it. Then came microscopes, then cell biology, then chemotherapy, then radiation, then genetics, then molecular biology, then precision medicine. And now we are entering an era where AI, genomics, advanced imaging, and computation biology are becoming increasingly connected. The story is not finished, and perhaps that's the most important lesson. We don't need to know everything today. We need to keep asking questions, keep testing ideas, keep learning from failures, keep improving our tools, and keep building on the knowledge of those who came before us. Because every generation inherits a world it did not create and has the opportunity to leave behind a world that knows a little more than before. Thank you.